is that it? Like all I have to do is like keep being happy and keep being connected to joy and keep just being grateful to be alive, and then I'll get to keep having all these dope experiences? And I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. Hey y'all, it's Chimdi. I just had the best series of days in my life. I live a very blessed life, so I'm constantly having a good time. But this last series of days has been incredible, and all of it was thanks to YouTube. And so I wanted to make a really quick video. I'm saying quick, the spirit will speak through me and we'll see how long that ends up being. And just talk about what a blessing having my YouTube channel has been. Because I know there are a lot of people who want to start YouTube channels and they're scared. And so months, years maybe have passed when you've said, oh, I really wish I had this thing. I really want to do this thing. I really have this story to tell. And then time passes, and you feel like, wow, here I am letting my dreams escape me. I'm a creative coach, by the way, so if you want some support on that, you can hit my Calendly and we can talk one-on-one. You see so much, both the ups and the downs of being successful on YouTube. And I was talking to someone via IGDM. Literally, he's like a musician in LA, and he found me because of a video that I made, and so he DM'd me and we had a whole conversation. And that's only the kind of stuff that happens because I have a YouTube channel where I'm sharing my story. And he said something that was so profound to me. Real success is feeling the impact of being your authentic self in the world and the impact that has on other people. That conversation in itself was an example of that impact, but these last 3 days especially have been an example of that impact. So I just want to like basically give y'all a recap of my last few days and just reflect on how far I feel like I've come and how much I've grown and the way YouTube has helped me, and I'm so grateful for it. Probably the sexiest and coolest thing I did was I went to this meetup hosted by Nas.io. Nas is this creator. He is Arab and Israeli. I think he's maybe based in Dubai. I'm not sure. I'm not on Facebook actively, so that's where he's got his biggest audience. He's got like 23 million people, 3 million on Instagram. And I truly had not heard of the man. It was actually a friend of mine who messaged me and said, hey, this guy's having a meetup in New York. One of the many reasons I love living in New York. And so it was the kind of thing where, because he's got this huge audience, so you had to actually apply to get into it. And I was like, sure, sounds good. I now have this approach called the US Open approach, where something that seems cool that I think I want to do, but I'm not really like thinking of it in a serious way, and so I don't have any strong emotions attached to it, which means I also don't have any resistance on some Abraham Hicks. As a result, when I'm interested in this thing, it ends up just working out because I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm a vibrational match for it. And this is because I got to go to the US Open after like watching a Serena Williams clip on Instagram where she was talking about being the best. And I was like, she really is the best. And then truly the next day, I was watching her play live. I applied for this thing, and it was very interesting because since I didn't follow him, I didn't have any sort of nerves or any kind of trepidation or anything else. Or if I'm being honest, any kind of like strong burning passion to go. I was like, it'll be a cool event where I'll meet other creators like here in New York, love that. But then looking at the comment section from the like posts he made about the event, it was like, I would fly across the world to do this. Man, I wish I could go. You need to host one where I'm at. From thousands of people. And I was like, oh, I guess this is kind of a big deal. But then unsurprisingly, a couple days later, I got the email and they were like, yeah, girl, come on through. And I was like, bet. And we were like all in a WhatsApp group together, and people are like producers for CNN and recruiters from Uber, and they work at Meta, and they have fintech companies. The guy who like created Teachable was there. People who were huge internationally too, which was really dope. It was like, this is like the Jon Stewart of India. Like this couple is like the biggest internet vlog couple. All these different folks who truly, like I didn't know any person who was in that room, but each person was incredible. Part of me was feeling the imposter syndrome because all the other not all the other YouTubers, but I clicked on a few of the other creators and they had like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, had all these fancy jobs and all these fancy experiences. And I was thinking like, what am I bringing to the table? I had enough awareness to know like, Chimdi, you are bringing your energy. The energy you have in your heart, your spirit, your vibe, literally unmatched. You're gonna be a blessing to everyone you meet, and everyone you meet is gonna be a blessing to you. And so that was the energy that I took going into it, was like, all of these people are incredible. They're all children of God, just like me. So I can go in with this energy of like, what gifts does this person have for me? And how will I, by just being myself, bless them? And so it was such a fun time. Got to get my little selfie with Nas. He was super cool. There was like an after party where we just like went to like a nearby bar and just like hung out and talked some more. So I got to meet even more people that I hadn't met there. And it was interesting because I was called a social butterfly a couple years ago when I was in LA, and I used to be an introvert. I made a video, it's about me changing my personality and changing my life. One of the ways I've intentionally changed is going from being this introverted person who didn't really like going out, didn't really like parties, to now being someone who thrives in social situations and is genuinely like a social butterfly. And it was only when someone else called me that I was like, oh, I guess it's true. Here I am. I was a social caterpillar and now I am a social butterfly. And I had one guy who I talked to there as well. He was like, I've been watching you kind of navigate the room and the way you just like flow from person to person and the way you have this presence. I can tell you really care about what the person is saying. And that's because I do. Like, I'm genuinely very interested because I do feel like being present is the greatest gift we can give somebody. But it was interesting that other people just in the vicinity could see and pick up and witness that. And it made me so grateful for all the healing I'm doing and all of that work, because that's what has allowed me to be able to be present in my body and happy where I am and be open to what someone has to say and know that I can stay rooted and connected to myself in love and not feel scared about what's going to happen in talking to this other person. So it was really interesting that I was being affirmed by multiple people that like, yeah, the way you show up in your presence truly is a gift. And I'm like, I mean, yes, I've spent 10 grand on working on this gift. I hope it is noticeable. I've just now met all these different people. Who knows what will come of the relationships that'll form and just the blessing that they will be in my life and vice versa in the months and years to come. Like, it's all just planting seeds and who knows what it's gonna sprout into. And what I think is so interesting about that event, so it was held at 368 Studios, which is the exact same place I shot the Adobe Creator Camp, the web series we did. And so I chatted to another creator who was just working at the space. I hadn't seen her since, we were doing that Adobe series. I mentioned like, yeah, it's so cool that, I was invited to this. And she was like, you were invited to this? And part of me, I'm gonna admit my feelings were a little hurt, but it really just mirrored my own feeling of like, the last time I was here, I was shooting a web series about being an up-and-coming emerging creator, and now I am in the same room with Nas and all these other incredible creators on my own merit, and I'm like, whoa. I had a friend say like, Chimdi, that should tell you something about who you are. And that's been really big for me. I'm starting to really feel into the fact that I have been creating content on here 4 or 5 years, that I have gotten really good at showing up authentically, and that I'm also the kind of creator who has not given up, who has actually stuck to it. One of the other folks who was at the event was this actor, and he mentioned how he had friends who were actors and they would get stung by the rejection and they would give up. They would become writers, directors. They would like kind of orbit what they actually wanted to do, which was act. But because he didn't give up, I think he was on a show and he said he had to audition maybe 100 times just to get, maybe he was exaggerating, but he just had to keep auditioning again and again and again and again and again. And it's because he didn't give up that he got to be successful. And I realized that itself is not very common, because there's so many people who start channels and who have them for a little bit and then eventually they stop. And not even considering the folks who just talk and who just want to do it and never even start. So to have wanted to do it and to have started and then to have kept going year after year after year after year after year is actually like very special. And then to be able to show up in a way that feels good to me, because I think it is very easy to have success doing one thing and then it's like, well, this is what my channel is about now because I'm so tied to this measure of success. So to hear this guy affirm and say the success actually comes from the impact you make on people was very, very, very affirming. That was Wednesday and it was so fun. Thursday, I actually met up with 2 other women from the Adobe Creator Camp community. I only know and am able to be a part of that Creator Camp community because I make YouTube videos. It was 2 women, one who joined the Creator Camp community back in January, which is wild that it's almost been a year. And the other one is this dope creator who has a whole sewing business. And she's the one who is responsible for me now being an amazing sewer. I'm so grateful to her. And so we got to meet up right here in Brooklyn and have this wonderful brunch, lunch, and just chat and talk. We like walked around the neighborhood, got some tea. It was such a vibe. This is the life that I envisioned for myself. When I used to work in the nonprofit space, a lot of the people that I knew also worked in the nonprofit space. So they had passions and they had things they cared about that just weren't aligned with me, because I care about social issues, but it's not my passion. And so when people are getting heated talking about legislation and talking about politicians, I'm just like, I just don't care that much. To go from that way of being to now being in spaces where people care about creating and showing up authentically and building connections and building community and all these things, it was just like, yes. And more specifically, the place where we went to get lunch was a place that I had walked by and been like, wow, one day I'll have friends in New York and now I'll get to sit and eat brunch here. Like, that was one of the things I had sent out, was a rocket of desire. Literally not a week prior, maybe, I met up with another dope girl, Lynn, and we got to have lunch there. And then here I am again with more dope Adobe creators. So that was so beautiful, so heartwarming. And then the most fun one, which I kind of love, because the sexy one was hanging out with all those hundreds of people. The like heartwarming one was hanging out with these two other women who are also creators and having that close, like intimate friendship kind of energy. But the most fun one was hanging out with this guy who is a subscriber here on my channel. And he's been a subscriber for like over a year, which is really cool. He found me from the LA video I made and then also moved to New York. As a woman, as a Black woman creator, there is a level of like, we gotta be careful out here. So I'm not really always rushing to meet up with people when they say they're in town or whatever. But you know, I checked in with God and I felt this person's vibe and I was like, I think this will be okay. And so we met up in Soho, and it was the same thing where I had been walking through Soho a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh, this area is really cool. I wanna like come back here one day. There God was like, here's an opportunity. And so we like met up at this coffee shop in Soho, and then we just like walked all around. We had great conversations. He's also a creator. We like both had our cameras. We were taking photos. What was so nice is that it was a very unstructured day. There wasn't any plan except to just like meet up and hang out. And I love those kinds of days because I don't want to be rushing to make an appointment or make a reservation or like we have to do this, this, and this. It's like, no, let's just see where the spirit leads us. I hadn't been to Chinatown yet, so we ended up wandering through Chinatown, which was really cool. And then we ended up walking across the Manhattan Bridge, which was so dope because I'd visited the Brooklyn Bridge and I was like, people have like walked and ran and biked across it, and I was like, that'd be kind of cool. And then here I was walking across this dope bridge. It was so beautiful. It was so fun. And I just remain so grateful and so astounded that I get to live here and I get to be here. I think I've been telling myself this story that I would only live in New York when I had my name on a lease, because I have not been on a lease this entire time that I've been living here. And so it felt a little bit precarious, but I realized like life truly is not this thing that starts over there somewhere. It's actually very much happening now. And I've had a series of days that have been so cool and so beautiful, and they've been all because I live here in New York, and they've all been because I have a YouTube channel that's encouraged and invited me to show up as my real self. I've met the invitation and I've done the work to heal and to be able to be present, to actually not feel scared to go to events, not feel scared to meet up with people. And as a result, I get to have all these incredible, beautiful experiences. And I woke up this morning talking to God like, this has been such an incredible series of days. God, you know exactly what I like. Believe it or not, God knows exactly what we want and exactly what we like, and gave me exactly that and more. And I was thinking to myself, okay, God, what do I have to do so that I can keep having these great experiences? Like, what is my part in all this? What is my action in all this? Because I've been reading so much Abraham Hicks, you know, and it's all about manifesting, you know, your dream life and all this stuff. And what those books affirm, and what I also heard God say to me was like, girl, your role is to be in joy. Your role is to stay connected to me. I have dance parties all the time now in my apartment where I just like put on my headphones. The vision I have in my head is like I'm with the angels and the saints at a dope ass concert, and we're all just like dancing, and I'm like dancing next to an angel and we're just like getting down. Like, that's what I do. I'm like, is that it? Like, all I have to do is like keep being happy and keep being connected to joy and keep just being grateful to be alive, and then I'll get to keep having all these dope experiences. And I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, which is really, really cool. And I have to say, there is still a part of me, because of the things I've experienced, that's like, well, that's so great that you got to have these few days that were wonderful, but stay ready and stay vigilant. Don't get too comfortable, because there's always this other shoe that's gonna drop. There's always this bad thing that's waiting around the corner that's gonna happen to you. So basically, don't get too happy and don't get too excited. I had this moment this morning where I really spent some time with that part of me that was feeling that. And instead of kind of wanting that voice to like be quiet, I was like, well, this is from your experience, Chimney. Like, you've had experiences where you were excited about something, you were looking forward to something, and then something bad did happen, right? So let's not say that's not a feeling that shouldn't be honored. Let's take a moment and let's feel that and say sorry. You know, I did this program recently called, or I did a compassion key, which is this type of, I guess, healing practice, where you essentially, when these things happen or when you remember these things, you just say, I'm so sorry that happened. And that's enough. We're acknowledging that something bad happened, and we're saying, I'm so sorry that happened. So I did that to myself. I was like, Chimney, I'm so so sorry that happened. I'm so sorry things have happened in your life that have made you scared of being fully excited, that have made you scared to fully trust God, that have made you scared to fully accept the blessings and the miracles that are coming into your life. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to share some of the awesome things that have been happening in my life, and it's all thanks to YouTube, and it's all thanks to God, and it's all thanks to healing. If you're someone who has been wanting to create, there's a reason why it's on your spirit, and it's not just because you'll have videos or you'll have your art or you'll have your music or whatever it is that you're putting out there. It's because it will ripple into the rest of your life, into the world, and ultimately it will allow you to be in situations and circumstances that will be so healing and fun and cool, and you'll get to meet dope people and have beautiful relationships with them. And that is, to me, the ultimate blessing of life. Thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if it resonated. Let me know in the comments how you're doing. Thank you, Patreon people. And if you want to do a one-on-one with me, either for coaching or to just ask some questions and get some motivation, get some inspiration, you can check out my description box and put some time in my Calendly. All right, y'all. Bye.